male protagonist was actually a son-in-law living in the home of his wife's parents. After 3 years of marriage, he discovered that his wife was cheating on him. He was kicked out of the house and forced to sign a divorce agreement. Let's see how the male lead takes his revenge. This novel begins with Ethan Smith hearing his wife, Sylvia Johnson, and another man mocking him outside his front door. He angrily kicks open the door and finds his wife and the man in bed together, leaving him devastated. He tries to seek revenge, but is beaten into a pulp, feeling like he's not worthy of living anymore. After being brought into the hospital by his crush, Emily Taylor, he dreamt of a godlike man who imparted a vast amount of knowledge to him. Upon waking up in the hospital, he found that his memory and body had become stronger. He used this knowledge to cure Emily Taylor's asthma. Emily Taylor praised Ethan Smith's medical skills and was curious at why such a talented person lived such an ordinary life. Suddenly, Sylvia Johnson called Ethan Smith and asked him to come back and sign the divorce agreement. Ethan Smith was troubled, but Emily Taylor said she'd accompany him back to the Sue family home to see his family, which surprised him. At home, Sylvia Johnson and Gary Brown's arrogance and disrespect sparked Ethan Smith's anger, but Emily Taylor stopped him. Sylvia Johnson grabbed the divorce agreement and slammed it on the table in front of Ethan Smith. Ethan Smith eventually signed the divorce agreement, his eyes bloodshot as he cried out in anguish. He would never forget the humiliation of that day and vowed to seek revenge. Although Sylvia Johnson had no feelings for Ethan Smith, she was still unhappy to see her ex-husband in a new relationship so soon. On the other hand, the woman in front of them was so charming that Gary Brown couldn't take his eyes off her. Gary Brown heard that Emily Taylor was developing a real estate business opportunity and tried to lure her into a partnership, but was ridiculed and rejected by Emily Taylor. Finally, Ethan Smith left with Emily Taylor. Emily Taylor wanted all the people in Chongqing to know Ethan Smith and declared him as her man. She provided a luxurious villa for Ethan Smith to live in, and he began to learn about cultivation and medical knowledge. He absorbed the natural spiritual energy around him and eventually entered the first level of chi refining. However, to upgrade his skills, he needed high-quality medicinal materials. When purchasing the medicinal materials, he found he had limited financial resources and could only afford the low-quality medicinal materials with barely acceptable effects. She appreciated Ethan Smith's worth, but Ethan Smith felt he was unworthy. A van stopped in front of Ethan Smith and Emily Taylor, and more than a dozen burly men got out, led by the notorious Lei Hu of Chongqing. Ethan Smith was nervous, but Emily Taylor's intervention made him feel warm. Lei Hu was shocked and terrified when he saw Emily Taylor. In Chongqing, the investment of Yan family and the upcoming banquet became hot topics, and Ethan Smith was focusing on making chi refining pills, but lacked money. Emily Taylor's secretary came to Ethan Smith's place and mocked him for not being qualified enough to get close to Emily Taylor. Ethan Smith felt pressure after learning that Emily Taylor has powerful backing from the Yan family, but he remained confident that he had the ability to compete with the Yan family. Ethan Smith was refining chi-gathering pills. After failing a few times, he managed to refine 5 chi-gathering pills and successfully entered the second layer of chi refining period. Emily Taylor and her bodyguard visited him, and the bodyguard tried to challenge Ethan Smith, but was refused. Later, the bodyguard rushed toward Ethan Smith, but was defeated. Ethan Smith then made trauma ointment for the bodyguard to cure his injuries, and he left after apologizing. At night, Emily Taylor asked Ethan Smith about his feelings toward his ex-wife, and he expressed only disgust. Then, Emily Taylor suddenly asked about her own emotional status. Ethan Smith began to doubt Emily Taylor's attitude toward him, unsure if she was serious about him. He decided that if Emily Taylor was truly interested in him, he'd do his best to be worthy of her. Sue's father called Ethan Smith, but he refused his help and went to say goodbye to Sue's family. At Sue's house, Sylvia Johnson seemed displeased with him, but Sue's father invited Ethan Smith into the house. In the end, Ethan Smith said goodbye to Sue's father and left the Sue's house. What will happen at the Yan family's banquet? Will there be any sparks between anyone who meets there? Will Emily Taylor's feelings for Ethan Smith be reciprocated? Will Ethan Smith successfully pass the chi refining period? Follow us and stay tuned for an exciting commentary in the next episode.